AI was supposed to create opportunity. So, why are major tech giants cutting jobs? Welcome to Data Life, the podcast that humanizes technology and breaks down how innovation shapes our everyday world. I'm your host, Biodun Dare. Today, we're diving into one of the most important questions of the decade. Is artificial intelligence quietly reshaping the job market? And is it for the better? We'll connect three key threads. One, recent warnings about AI and hiring, the wave of layoffs hitting major tech firms, and what this means for workers navigating a very different future. Jerome Powell, the chair of the United States Federal Reserve, recently issued some unusual direct comments about artificial intelligence and jobs. He said AI has the potential to make really dramatic changes in the workforce, changes that could reshape how companies operate, whom they hire, and which roles survive. Powell also noted that although the unemployment rate looks stable, deeper data shows something worrying. Job creation, when adjusted, is pretty close to zero. More importantly, he acknowledged that some companies are explicitly citing AI as the reason they are slowing or freezing hiring, especially for younger entry level workers. In his words, it's hard to say how big it is, but we are watching it very carefully. And when the Fed chair starts signaling concern, the world listens. The numbers tell their own story. This year alone, we've seen significant layoffs across big tech. Intel has cut roughly 12,000 jobs, Microsoft around 9,000, Amazon 14,000 jobs, Salesforce 4,000, Meta, Google, and others additional thousands. Industry trackers estimate that between 61,000 and 100,000 jobs have been cut across the wider tech sector this year. These are not random cuts. In many cases, companies point directly to AI efficiencies, automation gains, and strategic realignment around AI. So, what's actually happening? AI is changing the economics of work in three major ways. First, through automation, as tasks in customer service, administration, coding assistance, moderation, and content production can now be partially or fully automated. Secondly, productivity boost. AI allows fewer workers to do more work, meaning some teams shrink even if output stays steady or increases. Thirdly, strategic shift. Companies are redirecting funds towards AI infrastructure, cloud computing, and research, and this often means cutting back on older units or non AI divisions. Again, not all jobs are disappearing. Many are transforming, but the transition is uneven and not everyone can pivot quickly. So, who is most at risk? Jerome Powell highlighted one group in particular: early career workers. These are the jobs companies used to fill with fresh graduates or junior hires, roles that provided the first rungs of the career ladder. Now, many employers say AI tools can do that entry level work more cheaply and more consistently. But technology doesn't just eliminate jobs, it creates some new ones. AI is already driving demand for data annotators, machine learning engineers, prompt and workflow designers, model auditors, cybersecurity, and AI ethics roles. But here's the challenge: jobs lost can disappear overnight. Jobs created takes years to scale. That mismatch, the speed of cuts versus the slow growth of new roles, is what economists fear could destabilize the workforce in the near future. Mr. Powell also admits that there is no easy policy fix, but several ideas are gaining traction, and they include expanded worker retraining and upskilling, incentives for companies that maintain junior hiring, support for displaced workers and career transitions, as well as transparency rules around AI deployment and job impact. If you're listening to this and wondering what to do, here are a few immediate steps. Develop AI assisted skills. Basic data literacy, prompt based workflows, and AI tools are becoming must haves. Build capabilities that AI struggles with. This includes context, creativity, strategic thinking, and interpersonal communication. Document your impact. Show how you solve problems, not just tasks. Network consistently. We now move to the news segment. Apple CEO Tim Cook could step down as early as next year. According to Financial Times, the board has started to work out a succession plan with John Tenners, Apple's senior vice president of hardware engineering, being considered the frontrunner for the position. Cook, who turned 65 recently, has been CEO for 14 years and has overseen incredible growth and his fair share of controversies. He's also largely seen as responsible for Apple's shift to outsourcing manufacturing, which has enabled it to operate at much larger scales than it did traditionally. ESPN and other Disney owned channels will be returning to YouTube TV following a new agreement announced last week. More than 20 channels went dark on YouTube on October 30th. Key elements of the deal include carriage of Disney's full linear portfolio, including all the ESPN networks, ABC, the Disney branded channels, Freeform, FX networks, and the National Geographic channels. Others are that ESPN's new direct to customer service will be made available at no additional cost to YouTube TV subscribers, and access to a selection of live and on demand programming from ESPN Unlimited inside YouTube TV. E hailing drivers in Edo State, Nigeria have resolved to raise their fares by 50% of the official prices on the Uber or Bolt app. This was made known by the chairman of the Edo State Council of the Amalgamated Union of App-Based Transporters of Nigeria, Comrade Russell Ehage, to TechNext. According to him, the increase, which came into effect on Saturday, November 15, is intended to improve driver earnings amid dwindling income from the official ride-hailing apps. He said it was unfair for drivers to earn the same rate despite the inflation of prices of other goods and services. He noted that e-hailing drivers in Edo State are hardworking men and women battling rising fuel costs, maintenance fees, and endless deductions. Similar increases have been previously announced by drivers in Abuja, Abeokuta, and Port Harcourt. Bitcoin fell below the $96,000 level for the first time in several months, extending a multi-week decline. BTC's continuous dip is rattling the crypto market and shaking confidence at a moment when many expected the opposite. The end of the prolonged US government shutdown, removing a major source of macroeconomic uncertainty, was expected to lift risk assets, including Bitcoin. Instead, the market's reaction has been muted at best and sharply negative at worst. Previously, Bitcoin has rallied when political gridlock clears, but this time, the digital gold continued sliding, suggesting that traders were already pricing in a policy resolution or were more focused on the other macro pressures, including interest rate expectations and dollar strength. Google has committed a $40 million funding to support the revival of South Africa's struggling news media. This decision follows a significant inquiry by the country's Competition Commission. The funding package comes just months after South Africa's regulator accused Google of dominating the country's digital advertising market and extracting disproportionate value from news publishers. According to the Commission, Google's systems controlled how ads were placed and sold, forcing many local outlets to depend on its tools while earning less from their content. Under the new agreement, Google says it will channel the funds into multiple initiatives, including newsroom development, AI innovation, and digital transformation projects. The plan also includes new tools to help South African users find local news sources more easily and training programs to equip small and community outlets. For years, South Africa's media industry has been in survival mode with shrinking ad revenue, audience migration to social platforms, and limited willingness to pay for subscriptions, which have pushed many newsrooms to the brink. Remote workers in Nigeria will be confronted with taxation of their foreign earnings following the country's recent agreement with over 100 other countries to monitor the income of remote workers and online earners. According to the chairman, Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Uyedele, all Nigerians receiving income from international companies or online platforms must declare their earnings. This requirement includes payments from major tech companies like Google, as well as smaller foreign firms that outsource work to individuals in Nigeria. Oyedele clarified that Nigeria can track overseas deposits through partnerships with the Common Reporting Standards. Countries like the US, UK, Canada, and the UAE were mentioned as examples where Nigerian accounts and properties abroad are already being monitored. The system blends self-reporting with automatic intelligence gathering. This allows authorities to issue presumptive assessments if foreign income is not declared. According to Oyedele, the framework ensures that funds entering the country are transparent and subject to tax. We now go over to the quiz question of the day. Which group did Jerome Powell warn could be most affected by AI in the short term? A. Senior executives. B. Entry-level workers. C. Retirees. D. Remote freelancers. Send in your answers in the comment section. In this episode, we discussed how AI is not just shaping the future of work, it's also reshaping the present. Big layoffs, shifting hiring patterns, and warnings from the US Federal Reserve are telling us one thing: the transition is real and it's happening now. Thanks for listening to Data Life. If you learned something today, follow and subscribe to this channel. Also, share this episode with a friend. I'm your host, Biodun Dare. See you in the next episode.